Hi and welcome back to the Lifetise channel. If this is your first time watching one of our videos, welcome. It's nice to have you here. Lifetise is all about helping you work out how to save for the things that you most want in life. And you've tuned in to the first of our series specifically for first-time buyers who are looking to buy a home in the UK. So this episode 1 is all about a roundup of everything that you need to know as a first-time buyer in 2021. Then we're going to have a series of individual videos covering each of the topics that I talk about today. So don't forget to subscribe and hit that bell so that you make sure you get all of the notifications for the videos that are coming up. So obviously 2020 was quite a turbulent year in many ways, health-wise, mental health-wise, and financially for a lot of us. So if you are somebody who has been looking to buy a home and you had to put your plans on pause over 2020, we completely understand, and you're probably wondering what 2021 has in store for you. So I'm going to run through a few things for you to be aware of if you are saving for your deposit, if you're at the stage where you're looking to get a mortgage or you're thinking about actually buying your first property. And we'll start off with what mortgages are available to first-time buyers. So in 2020, because of the economic uncertainty, a lot of the banks decided to withdraw their mortgages where you only have to pay 10% deposit. So all of the standard first-time buyer mortgages where you as a first-time buyer, you put down 10% and then the bank lends you 90% of the home value. The banks took all of those away. They decided they were too risky. And so pretty much over the summer in 2020, all of those type of mortgage deals for first-time buyers got removed from the market. So that made it very, very difficult if you were a first-time buyer looking to get on the property ladder towards kind of the middle and end of 2020. You needed at that point to have a deposit of at least really 20 to 25%, which for most of us is an enormous amount of money, and it kind of pushed everybody's timetable back. So what does it look like going into 2021? Well, some good news. A lot of the banks have brought back 10% mortgages. So it is now possible to get a mortgage where you're only putting down that 10% deposit. But two things. One, there aren't that many of these mortgages available. So they're really going to be reserved for people who've got a great credit score, who aren't borrowing too much money and those kind of things. So you can't assume that you'll be able to get a 10% deposit. You may still have to save up for 20% at the moment. So that's something to think about. And secondly, if you do get one of the 10% mortgages, then you're going to find that you're going to have to pay a bit more as interest rate. So the banks have brought back the 10% mortgages, but the flip side is because they still see them as quite risky, they ask you to pay more interest. So as a first-time buyer, if you are putting down just a 10% deposit, you're probably going to have an interest rate around 3 to 4%, which is higher than it would have been pre-pandemic. So you're going to need to be able to factor that in to affordability when you're looking at your mortgage repayments. So the interest rate dictates how much money you're going to pay each month paying back your mortgage. And the higher the interest rate, the more you have to pay each month. So if you don't know how that affordability affects you, you can go on to, we have an amazing calculator called Home Finder on our site. It's free to use. You just sign up and it will calculate all of these things for you. It will show you what the likely interest rate is and then how much you would have to pay per month. So you just need to look at that in terms of your affordability. Now, hopefully, as 2021 progresses, hopefully the vaccine gets rolled out, we should see more banks bringing back more of these 10% mortgages. And so you should start to see interest rates come down. But obviously we can't predict when that will be. We just hope that that will happen sometime in 2021. So the next thing that we need to look at is how has the pandemic affected the property market overall? What has it done for house prices? Now, again, last year was a bit strange in that you had a combination of things that actually meant that overall house prices went up even during a pandemic, even when it was harder for people to buy a property. And the main reason for that is that the government decided to do what's called a stamp duty holiday. So normally when you buy a property above a certain value, you have to pay a form of tax called stamp duty. It's on top of your deposit. Some people get caught out and they think they only have to save for a deposit, but you also sometimes have to save for stamp duty depending on the value of the property you're getting. And so the government decided to keep the property market moving. They would do a stamp duty holiday, which meant that people spending up to £500,000 on a property did not have to pay stamp duty. So what happened was that those people, those buyers who were in a position to buy a property, so they had enough money for their deposit and they were kind of ready to go, it just meant that they became much quicker. They rushed to buy a property. It also pushed up the price of houses and flats. And so you had this weird thing where, as a first-time buyer, for a lot of people, you were probably priced out of the market, or you had to pay a bit more for the same property. So in many ways, the fact that the stamp duty holiday is going to come to an end at the end of March probably works for first-time buyers, because it should have the effect of bringing property prices down in 2021. And stamp duty is going to still be payable by some first-time buyers, and we're going to do a whole separate video on how stamp duty works for you as a first-time buyer. So make sure that you are subscribed and you are signed up to the notifications so that you get that one. So yeah, in 2020, it was quite hard as a first-time buyer. You didn't have the same access to all of the mortgages, property prices were a bit more expensive, and of course it was hard for you to actually go and be able to view properties. However, some people have said that they have found it easier to save during lockdown and the pandemic because they haven't been spending so much money on going out. They might not have had commuting costs and those kind of things. And so what we've got is that if you are one of those lucky people who has been able to save more for your deposits over the last sort of 6 months than you expected, you might be in a better position coming into this year to be able to actually buy your property. So we're going to go through in the next set of videos all of the things that you need to be aware of. That's things like, how does Help to Buy work? How does shared ownership work? How does stamp duty work? How do you go about applying for a mortgage? All of the things that you as a first-time buyer need to know to feel like you are really clued up, you're in the best possible position to actually be able to go through that process. So the next thing that's changing in 2021 is the Help to Buy scheme. Now, some of you may have already heard of Help to Buy. It's a government scheme that is designed to help first-time buyers get on the property ladder. Now, during 2020, the government made some changes to that scheme. Again, because of the pandemic, they wanted to make it easier for as many people as possible to get on the property ladder. But in April of 2021, the scheme is changing. And so eligibility changes, the cap on the price of a house that you can get with Help to Buy changes. There are quite a lot of things that are going to be changing in April this year with Help to Buy. So if Help to Buy is something that you're considering, then we're going to have a separate video on it that will go into all of the details of the new scheme, who's eligible for it, how it works, the amount of property you can buy, how much deposit you need to put down for Help to Buy. So make sure you're subscribed so that you get that video.